Today is Arbor Day. We celebrate it every April. When pioneers started heading west to the Nebraska Territory, they noticed the lack of trees. They came from the east where trees were abundant, but there was no trees for windbreaks, to help with soil erosion, to offer shade. So J. Sterling Morton, the first secretary of the Nebraska Territory, proposed the first Arbor Day. So on April 10th, 1872, he encouraged school children, individuals, farmers, and civic groups to plant trees. On that first Arbor Day, over 1 million trees, it was estimated, were planted. By 1920, 45 states had their own version of Arbor Day. And in 1972, the then President Richard Nixon declared the last Friday in April to be celebrated as Arbor Day. So we all know how important trees are and how wonderful they are in our landscape and how they enrich our daily lives. Why are trees so important? Trees are the biggest plants on the planet Earth. They provide us with oxygen. They absorb carbon dioxide. They store carbon in their wood, making them valuable carbon sinks. Forests help to filter water, prevent soil erosion and flooding. They slow the wind, offer shade. They help cool temperatures through transpiration. And of course, they offer important habitat for birds and mammals. The value of a forest can be seen here at Beaver Lake. Every time you take a hike on one of our trails. Trees, of course, provide the human world with a lot also. Lumber is a very important product of trees. Pulp for paper. The forestry industry in this country generates over $11 billion every year, providing many, many jobs. Wood is used as fuel. Trees are planted as a windbreak. This grove on the Pine Meadow Trail was planted in the early 1970s to offer a noise break and a visual buffer for the road. Trees are used medicinally, and of course, everybody loves trees for food, fruits, and nuts. So the many, many, many things that trees provide really make us realize how special they are and how important to recognize their value both economically and for our own well-being, and to remember them every last Friday in April on Arbor Day. What better place to learn about trees than at Beaver Lake's Arboretum? An arboretum is literally a living tree museum. Beaver Lake's Arboretum is home to 80 species of trees. If you walk the Arboretum pathways, you'll notice posts that explain and describe each tree species. This little known area is a great resource. You can learn how to identify trees by their bark, by their form, and by their leaves. Learn more about trees with identification tags that describe the tree and tell you a little bit about what it's used for. The Arboretum is divided into family groups. Pines, hardwoods such as oaks and maples are all grouped together, so the visitor can see them side by side. So this Arbor Day is a great day to start visiting the Arboretum and learn all about native trees and trees that are found in other parts of the country, and in some cases other parts of the world. Learn all about trees at Beaver Lake in the wonderful Arboretum. And of course, the most important tradition of Arbor Day is planting trees. As we discussed, the first Arbor Day, over 1 million trees were planted. Though trees can be planted through the spring, summer, and fall before the ground freezes, traditionally the best time to plant is in the spring. Abundant rainfall, lengthening daylight, and nice weather makes it an ideal time to plant trees. If you're considering on planting a tree, whether it be on Arbor Day or later on this year, there are 6 easy steps to follow to assure that your tree will live a long and healthy life. First, choose a good location. Take into account how big the tree will grow, what its light needs are, how big the root mass will get, how nearby are buildings and structures that the tree might grow into, because trees, as you know, live a long, long time. So this is really the most important step, choosing a good location for the type of tree you'll be planting. Step 2. Obviously, you'll need to dig a hole to plant the tree in. It's important to dig a hole that's at least twice the size of the root ball, so the new roots can spread into new soil. Oftentimes, roots come in pots and are root bound, so they need some space to spread out. There's really no need to augment the soil around the tree when you dig, but at least dig a size hole that's at 2 times the size of the root ball. The next step is to place the root ball in the hole. Make sure that the root ball is level or a little bit above the soil line. You don't want to have the roots buried too deeply. It's important to know where the root flare is. This is the base of the tree where the trunk meets the ground. Oftentimes it flares out, hence the name root flare. If it's buried too deeply, the roots may not develop, will suffocate perhaps, and also the tree could suffer damage at its base. So make sure that you have it level with the ground or 10% above the ground level. Step 4. Backfill in the hole. And again, watch the root flare. Don't bury it in. This will cause damage to the tree trunk, and perhaps the health of the tree would be jeopardized. Fill the soil in around the roots and try to keep your tree straight up and down. You may later want to offer support for the growing sapling with sticks and wire covered with rubber or cord to keep it growing straight. But right now, bury in the roots. Again, watching out for the root flare. Step 5. Tamp down the soil to remove the air pockets. The soil will eventually settle, so that's why some people have the root ball sticking up out of the ground surface just a little bit. Again, the root ball will settle into the looser soil and it might go below the root flare line. You can step on the soil around the root base. Some people use a jet of water. Since you're going to water the tree anyhow, this helps to remove air pockets. Finally, step 6. It's important to water in the tree very well the first time. Then add a layer of mulch of about 2 inches around the base. Some use a mulch sort of dam, a concave area around the base of the tree, so when you water the tree, the water stays around the base of the tree and doesn't flow off, especially if the ground isn't level. You'll want to water the tree a couple times the first day, then every day for a week, then every other day for the following 3 or 4 weeks. And if it's a dry summer, regular watering is necessary. It may take a month to several months to even a year for the roots to be established. So establish a regular watering cycle. There might be instructions with your tree on how much water to provide in gallons per day, per week, or per month. Again, be mindful of overwatering as well. But it's important in the beginning to water the tree, especially after it was first planted. So following these 6 steps should assure that your tree gets a good, healthy start and will be nice and green later in the spring following its Arbor Day planting. Happy Arbor Day!